List the steps of how a bill becomes a law. We talked about the legislative branch writing bills, and we've talked about the executive branch approving or signing or even vetoing bills. We're going to go into detail of exactly how a bill turns into a law that then is brought to life by the executive branch. Start the timer, and we have started the timer. Bill becomes a law. We know that the legislative branch writes laws. Well, what's the process for actually making sure these bills become a law and become official? We'll go step by step through the process of turning a bill into a law. You probably have a good idea. You probably know that the House of Representatives must all agree on the bill. You might also know that then the Senate must agree on the bill. It doesn't have to be in that order. It can be House, then Senate. It can be Senate, then House. But both houses of our Congress must approve it. Once it is approved, it then is up to the president to sign or veto. If the president signs and approves, then that bill becomes a law. Let's go into the details and let's go through step by step exactly how a bill becomes a law. There are thousands of bills that have been proposed in Congress, that have been debated, that have been voted on, and they have failed. There are many bills that not everyone agrees on. You need the House of Representatives to agree, and then you need the Senate to agree, and then you need the president to agree. It is not an easy process. Many bills are forgotten and never become anything. They just are ignored. But if they become a law, then they're brought to life, and we follow them every day. Step one. So here are the steps. It's blank right now. We're going to fill these in and let you know exactly step by step how a bill becomes law. A lot of the graphics that I'm using are from a video called Schoolhouse Rocks, How a Bill Becomes a Law. You can Google it, go to YouTube, type in bill becomes a law, and you can watch the video. And it'll do a really good job of helping you understand this process. That video might do a better job than my video, but these two videos combined will absolutely make sure that you will know how a bill becomes law. So the first thing that has to happen, someone has to propose it. Someone has to come up with the idea. And this congressman, this representative, or it could be a senator, their idea is school buses must stop at railroad crossings. So it starts with an idea, it'll be a bill, and if everyone approves it, it will become a law that everyone must follow. Step one, the bill is proposed. Step two, the bill then is introduced in House number one. Which one's House number one? There's a House of Representatives, there's a Senate. Which one's number one? Good question. There isn't really a House number one. The point here is a bill can be introduced in the House of Representatives at first, or the first step can be introduced in the Senate. There isn't a specific house where a bill must originate. So for this video, we're just going to say House number one, because after it gets through House number one, then it'll go to House number two. That means it can start in the House of Representatives. Wait, let's go back. It can start in the House of Representatives and then go to the Senate. This could be one and this could be two. Or it can start in the Senate and then go to the House of Representatives. So just for graphic purposes and writing stuff on a screen, instead of saying introduced in House and Senate, we'll just say House number one. Make our lives easier. So it's introduced in House number one. Then, once it's introduced in that house, it is sent to a committee. And in that committee, a smaller group of members from that house will discuss and debate the bill, and they will iron it out. They'll find out what works, what needs to be taken out. They'll really go to work on that bill to make sure it's the best bill possible before there is a major vote in that house on it. So they look at it and they discuss and they say, school buses must stop at railroads. Sounds good by me. All cars must stop at railroads. Whoa, whoa, whoa. They'll discuss, they'll debate, and they'll try to think like, is that a good idea? Will that ever get approved? Do you think people in the House are going to say yes? Do you think the Senate is going to say yes? Do you think the president is going to agree with that? And they work together in the committee. This is the third step. And they'll say, you know what? Let's take this out. Before we take it to the next step, let's take that out. Otherwise, we'll just quit right here. They could say right here in this committee, nah, this is not good, throw it out. They could right here at this moment. The committee has to vote to agree to move it forward. If the committee doesn't like the bill, it could die right there. The bill can die at any one of these steps and then it's dead, it's gone, it'll never become a law. Goes back to the point, there have been thousands of bills that have been proposed every single year, and most of them do not become laws. They can die in any one of these steps or any of the boxes I show you. If it doesn't get approved and doesn't go further, it's gone, it's dead. So we'll say that this bill survives after they work on it and say, all right, we'll get rid of that, but we'll keep that. They all agree, then it moves to the next step. So again, proposed, it's introduced. In the committee, it could die, it's dead. It has to make it through every one of these stages to become an official law. After it gets through the committee, then it goes to the House, everyone in the House, not just the small group, not the 5 or 6 or 7 people in the committee. The whole House comes together, they review the bill and decide Will we approve it or will we kill it and vote no? If they kill it, it's dead. It does not go on to the next step. But if it gets approved, then it goes to the next house. After it survives the first house, it's then introduced in the second house. So if it was introduced at first in the House of Representatives, then it's going to be introduced in the Senate and vice versa. And I bet you can guess what the next step is after it's been introduced in the Senate. It then goes to a committee. And so now there's another committee in the Senate of a handful of people who then get together and discuss and debate the bill and try to iron it out and come up with the best ideas possible. And they say, hey, school buses must stop at railroads. And then they say, wait, we want to add something. School buses must open the door and listen. You ever been to a school bus where they open the door? Everybody be quiet. Let's see if there's a railroad train coming. They added something to it. They discuss it. They debate. Again, it could get killed right here and never go any further. But if they like it and they approve it, then it is introduced in the full Senate. The bill is debated again and voted by every member of the Senate. So it's kind of a repeat of what they did in the first house. It is a repeat of what they did in the first house. And if it's approved by the Senate, then it goes to the president. But there's a catch. There's always a catch. And in this catch, you remember that they changed it. Remember, if you look at committee here versus committee here, they said the school bus must stop at every railroad. They added something. Committee 2 said not only do they have to stop at every railroad, they got to listen. Well, they didn't approve that. They never said yes. When they voted over here, they didn't vote on what they added. That's a problem. That ain't cool by them. So what we have to have is a special conference where we then come to terms with the differences. There was the House bill, which was just stop. And then there was a Senate bill, which was stop and listen. This conference committee will come together, review the information, and they'll vote and see if they agree on the changes to create one bill. You can't have two bills. You got to bring them together and find out what works. Mold them together and figure it out. And once they do that, then it goes to the last step, which is the president who signs or vetoes. You don't always have to do this conference. If the bill works in House 1 and is not changed, and Bill 2, and it goes to House 2 and is not changed, it's the same bill, then you don't need a special conference committee. You only need a special conference committee if the House bill or the bill in House 1 and the bill in House 2 or vice versa. If those bills are different, then you have to have a special conference committee. If the bills are the same, then you do not need this step. This step is only if each house has a different bill. There's the same bill, but there's little differences. If there's little differences, then the special conference committee will come together and figure it out. If the bills are the same, then you don't need this step. The last step is the bill signs or is vetoed by the president. This is basically saying yes. This is basically a fancy word for saying no. If the bill survives all these steps, the bill becomes a law. There are all the steps right there. To me, I think the perfect analogy is Mario Brothers. And if you look at your screen, Mario Brothers 1, that is every stage, every level of that original Nintendo game of Mario Brothers. And if you want to win at Mario Brothers, you have to get past every single stage. And I don't know if you remember, this is an old school game where they don't save your spot. If you die in level 5, you go all the way back to level 1, which in most cases means you take the video game, you go out in the middle of the street, and you smash it into a million pieces, and you never play it again. Very much like a bill. If a bill makes it to level 4 or makes it all the way to right here, and they say, no, it's dead, it's gone, it's over, it ain't happening, done for. Very much like Mario Brothers. Remember, these old school video games, no save point, no save point. I don't care if you make it to level 10 and you're right here and you die. Guess what? You go all the way back to level 1. What? That's the way the old school video games were. They were very challenging. You probably played some of these on like those throwback video game machines, but you have to survive every single level and make it to the end and defeat Bowser. It's very much the same thing with a bill becoming a law. You got to go through here. 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 You cannot die. There is no save point. You got to go all the way to the end. Crazy. Another way of looking at it, bill is proposed. The bill is introduced in both houses. The bill is sent to committee in both houses. The bill is debated and voted on in both houses. And then the president signs or vetoes. Same information. I'm just presenting it to you in a different graphic, just a different form. But then you understand, you got to go through all these steps for a bill to become law. It is not very easy. So there it is. There's the steps. We're not even going to use up the entire 15 minutes. That's awesome. You're welcome. That's how a bill becomes a law. But you should go to YouTube and check out how a bill becomes a law. And you should also check out the other Schoolhouse Rock videos. I'm sure that your other social studies teachers have made you watch these videos. They're old school, but they're entertaining, they're interesting. There's always different ways to learn that work for different students.